Hello, everyone. So we are live and we can start. So today is yet another session from me. Now it's actually kind of cool topic between everything else that I actually already described. So you can check our channel and find other videos. I will reference them during this session today. And this is technical design. Hoppa, I need one click there. My name is Andrei. If you don't know me, I'm here working with Andersen for some time, quite some time, as software and solution architect. I also played some different roles in different companies with different teams. That's, I hope, give me some confidence. At least I believe that I can share with you some knowledge related to the development processes. And what we're going to discuss today is several parts related to like what we're going to discuss, some short introduction. Then I'm going to tell about cases where you may face that you maybe really start thinking about what's going on, what you may change there. And then the problem itself and the background below it, like theory or description of how it works. Then I will describe the approach, and this approach kind of the small part of the presentation itself. I think it's more or less practical still. The most part goes to the first 4 points. Then some extra practices, tips, and the solution for cases I described in the second. So you know about me. Let's meet. Who is here from project management? One. Is there any Scrum Masters? Developers? Yeah, oh, okay, the most. QA engineers? No, business analyst, I know, at least. Oh, that's nice. That's for you as well. So developers and software developers and analysts, they're mostly the person who will work with this point. A lot. So what we're going to talk about today? The definition of ready is kind of thing that lots of people either think it's controversial or it's the essential thing for work with, and maybe the only way to make your development more or less predictable for everyone that involved. Still, for some reason, it doesn't exist officially in Scrum Guide. I don't know why. Maybe we will find out today. And the criteria of definition of done, people put there lots of different things, such as the scope is clearly defined, and dependencies. Right now, it's much more clear what's going on, what we need to do, and what depends on which. And items good enough to put into iteration. Then we can actually estimate it better. That's interesting part, because if you're working with story points estimation, they clearly say what working with risks, with uncertainty, then let's try some kind of conflict there. Maybe don't see the difference and the conflict. Still, lots of things are all materials that require for you to continue also here. Then, as I said, Scrum Guide doesn't force you to have it. Still, you should have something to be here, to have this to make this estimation. But even with that, they don't give you exact estimation tool. As I said, story points doesn't require you for clearly understand what you need to develop. If you would say working with the stories as let's say problem to solve, then the definition of ready is the problem defined, and that's it. No materials, no wireframes, nothing, and you need to start business analysis from that place. The cases. So the first is just classic team, where everyone involved, lots of different roles. Pretty much 95% of our project involved like cover this case. Much more rare when we have only backend engineers and QA engineers just working on test cases, and actually every test is developed by backend engineers, nobody else. Only the backend engineers, sorry. And like even more backend engineers with nobody else. And with a project with huge legacy, it's also the case we can consider why we need the technical design, how it acts there. The project with very high development speed, and the growth problem. And the growth problem is really huge part for project management when the project needs to be established, a really huge one, or it was small and then it rises to the top, and all processes simply breaks. For sure, there's another part when project just start, and you need to start it really fast, and there is no processes at all. It may harm a lot from the beginning if you want to establish it the best way, or you need to deal with that organizational debt after all. Healthcare projects, the lovely one, that requires you to do a lot of additional bureaucracy, documentation, or other stuff. And of course, when your customer doesn't think you actually need Agile at all, because it doesn't work. It's obvious, like for them at least. And the situation. It's rather funny one question, or maybe really painful, that also I collected through years, and like let's check them out. The first one is why I'm the only one. Lots of companies struggling where team lead is the only one person who makes decisions. And about that actually the code review is the only time and place where you now understands what you actually had to do. And there's lots of cases when you face dependency hell just in the middle of development, increases your effort 3 times more, maybe 2 additional weeks. And then think that you cannot actually parallelize your work at all because you're the only one who understands. Or maybe the other person understands, but you need to talk with him, and maybe after all you have the solution is not compatible, or there is 5 incompatible solutions here already, and for sure this is a newcomer, and you need to come this person who is not here, I hope, this virtual mic, and he is on vacation, by the way. That's why you cannot come to him and learn more. That's really often when the project grows, the problem. The problem itself is quite deep, I would say, because most of the people know you have to do that, but there is no standard solution for that. The Agile methodology was invented like really many years ago for now. This was a brilliant step towards, it was based on so big experience, like it was started maybe somewhere in Japan when Lean was invented, then Kanban, then extreme programming comes, and everything that was done before in this area was resulted in this Agile methodology. And people who created that was genius, and they were not just in the processes genius, they was like really best developers these days. And you should keep it in your mind, because this drives everything that happens with Agile after all. Because they were genius, everyone else who uses Agile not genius as they are. That's the main thing why it doesn't work the same way they expected. And Agile says that your team has to be empowered to do all the things. That's true. This is the only way. Okay, there is no other better way to do that. And your product owner just give you idea, like nothing else. Idea, problem, or something not formed. This is where it actually contradicts, right? So nowadays, lots of project gives you not an idea, but the exact requirements to do. Or at least they think they gave you requirements, not ideas or problem to solve. So the thing is, if you want to make your processes better, in Kanban is the essential part when you need to optimize and do it better, and better. If you want to be at the highest level of your process organization, if you can fit into deadline, budget, quality, and scope, the next level is you need to improve your processes every time. So that's why maybe most of the project doesn't care, because they doesn't fit into budget at all, let's say, or even quality. Still, this principle drives most of the things that happen inside team communication, and it's already analyzed a lot in Stackman model. If you talk with Scrum Master, they like to use this word describing what's going on in the team in the beginning, and it takes time, really. So you have to wait until your team starts performing. That's what Scrum Master tells customers. And the trouble here is you have to wait, and you don't know what the result will be. Either it will be reinventing the wheel in the processes, or there is no way to guarantee that the process will establish the best way it could. This is the trouble, because the Agile and the Scrum, they not giving you any tools how you should start thinking about what you need to do here. Just collaborate. Okay, that's fine. You need to find the best way for you to do that, right? The brainstorm session and other things exist there. And still, there is no, from my point of view, still there is no way to guarantee. And how you can convince your customer, your manager, product owner, whatever, to invest this time without real guarantee to having any result. So this is the main problem here. Then background behind that. Team is not the monolith or homogeneous like bunch of people having the same skills. They're mostly working as different positions with different skills. I'm really glad that people who invented Agile were like mostly developers with really high skills. They can communicate together and find the best solution. Someone plays role of product owner who have a vision. That's fine. If you know, the product owner nowadays doesn't have vision. They're just another gear in this huge mechanism that just simply try to translate ideas given by their managers, and they have no vision at all. That's why it doesn't work, because they have no ideas. They won't have any ideas. If they will be creative, it won't work. Then we have like UI, UX designer, solution architect, all these people just doing some things to create this box in the end, and have this person saying, I'm good with that or not. Everyone here has their own approach, established and written and perfected through many stages, and there is lots of things were discovered. Software developers have their own practices. Business analysts, they have their own practices to do the best things. Project managers, solution architects, product owners, everyone has their own approach to do that. So they try to do their best to create the process that will help them. Then you may wonder who will drive this part. I dare say it will be developers, because these people, this one and this one, are available not for their communication skills, unfortunately. And these one have power. Okay, this is the skew why this process inside is not driven by engineers, and actually Agile was invented by engineers. This is the fundamental part, and it actually creates the idea why the waterfall exists. So we need to like divide them and say, okay, you have your own practices. Let's say You did your best, and then you produce something, and then give it to another part. Why they have different perspective on the things? Because at least according to research, my research I did, books that is the best one for everyone of this is not the same. They are written in different time. Let's say clean code still actual for developers. Of course, there are other books, of course, but they are not anyhow connected to, let's say, Baybook or PMBOK. PMBOK is like the ancient one. Most of PMs still have this legacy in their mind how it has to be done. In some companies, not everyone. Let's say nowadays PM more close to Scrum Master with power. And product owners, they read Scrum Guide, but still with some limitation, and they are not the same. This is something that drives us. Of course, this is not really the only book that you need to read, right? So you have to develop yourself how you what you want to contribute to the process. And they are not about Agile. There's one guy that should be here and say, okay, I know how to do this. I will help you. But this guy is not here. And most of the times, this person is the ceremony master without power. And there is no authority over it. And most of the time, he simply follow what product owner with authority do, because he is on the vendor side and product owner on the customer side, and they simply use their power here. Let's simply view it from the Kanban perspective, because Kanban is the simplest implementation of Agile, and was exist even before Agile, when there is only two stages, when there is problem and you need to solve it. Everything between is this progress, and if you check how Kanban works for the team, like lots of people inside the team, it's really a cool approach for, let's say, DevOps team or support team when they have some trouble happen, and then they need to push it through their pipelines of development or like check, investigation, and the problem solved in the end. So there is only like define it in progress and done. Of course, you can have really complicated status model here, and Kanban guarantees that you will push your task through this pipeline the most effective way. For us, for developers, it may be simplified to several steps. Like task should pass analysis, task should pass development and testing. And then the thing is, it shouldn't be like that every time, because if, let's say, everyone here is the team members, then they have the same skills, then it will be mixed, stirred a lot, and still you may start testing here because you like fancy test-driven development, and then you doesn't have any manual testing in the end. But if you do, you wouldn't like to start manual testing before analysis is ended, because every time it will change, and naturally things start dividing. And that's the reason why there is a reason why they start dividing, like trying to find their place in the implementation flow, is the nature, which is described in big data as the main what you have in distributed system, what the biggest performance issue you may have. In distributed system in big data, the biggest performance decrease is in networking between nodes. When lots of different machines start communicating, like the most of the time and resources spent on transferring data from one node to another, and the only way to increase it, to increase performance, is to keep all necessary data on one node. So this node work locally and doesn't communicate with other people. If you have in team different people, business analysts, developers, and QA engineers, they tend to keep their work independent from other people. This is natural. That's why when we approach Agile, they say there shouldn't be process, there should be more communication over processes. We do not negate processes itself, but they try to establish counterforce to this natural way to have as less as possible communication with other people. Because once you're done, you push your work to the other team. That's fine. Like you did it, then you push it. And it will work good way until you realize what the other side of this approach. So all these things is leading us to the one interesting discipline. The modern one is team topology, which researches how team communicate with each other. And they uses the same principles we use in software architecture, where people just like computers, they communicate, what connection lines, what channels, how they work. We can use the same as micro topology within the team, seeing like business analyst as one team, like developers another, and QA yet another one, product owner, and this communication between them, how they work. So we wouldn't like to have too much communication between team, and we need to make it as much efficient as we can. That's we're approaching the topic of today's session. Now, the analysis and development, they overlap. They should overlap, but not overlap at all, really, because otherwise it won't be efficient. So business analyst will work somewhere here, developer will work somewhere here, and they should work together somewhere here. Like as simple as that. Nothing special. Like I didn't invent anything special here. But there is one interesting point here. What we are working on. There is also confusion exists in lots of team I saw, is what we are working on. Mostly we are working on a task. But this is not the only thing that we are working. According to like experience of business analysts through years, business analysts work on requirements, not task, user story, or something like that. It's not natural for business analysts to work on story. It's just my opinion. User story is something that team works together, but requirements is the most effective way to describe what you want to have in the end. But this is not a story. On the other part, there is a problem that I mentioned, and the problem is not a specification. This is different. The problem is the goal you want to achieve, the North Star. You are leading there, and you want to be there, not here, and you don't know the way. Maybe the answer to this North Star will be, no, we don't want to go there. Just cross it out of scope. That's it. There is no scope. Then the product backlog item is totally different thing. This is actually our next step to do something. This is not specification. This is not requirement. This is thing is like, if you want to be on the other part of the on the other side of the mountain, your next product backlog item will be rather than either go to the mountain or try to walk around. It's a different thing, and maybe even go back, because like the best way to walk around the mountain is quite opposite. This thing is always applied to some migration steps. Not always the path to your goal, to your problems solving thing is not like straightforward. But specification telling you need to do it this way, and that's it. So this is also fundamental principle why they are not the same. They still overlap. And if we're talking about small problems, like you need to make this component acting this way because of that, they are the same. But not all tasks the same. They work this way. They simply in general position. And these artifacts are how they look, what they differ. Yes, the problem is identifiable, well, because I want to name it, traceable, who did it, what the priority, blah, 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 no scope, just because we want to achieve it. We will define the scope while we are working towards it. The specification itself, it's more or less mutable, because every day we can change the requirements. We need to accept it, and there is these things. I still believe they are true, because BA Box still telling us this is the quality of requirements. Like, if you want to be like unambiguous, it's maybe not about problem itself. It's modifiable. Oh yeah, This is the trouble with the product backlog item, because the best product backlog item, at least from QA perspective, they are immutable. You did it and it won't change. Like, you can trace now. You did this thing and you will test this thing. If you address it to specification, you simply see that specification will go forward, and your product backlog may even be in conflict with the specification. Just after 1 week you started doing this thing. That's one interesting point when you approach business analyst, project manager, product owner, and say, okay, let's have in Jira description what we want to do, and in Confluence we will have description how it should look like in the future. And no, we don't want to have duplications, but they are not duplicate. This is your next step. This is what you want to have in the end. There is more than that, how they differs. Generally, this is about knowledge, and this one is about task to do. And task to do is something different, as why it have to be driven by engineers, but not business analysts. Product backlog item, I will dare to say it because the other parts, problems and specification doesn't have these features. They have to consider technical condition of the project, where we are. Like, if you, I saw with my child several channels, just story for you to tell. One channel construct Lego in real, so they he simply have video like he doing just himself with the like fingers, hands, and the other one is building in 3D. And 3D was really weird because he just simply placed these items in the void and not connecting with anything, like would stick to somewhere. For me, product backlog item is another brick you need to put on top of your model you're building, but you should stick to some other thing, not just in void space anywhere. That's why we need to understand what we did, where we are. The other one is dependencies, the technical enablers. Business analyst is not right person to work with that. There may be lots of different things, and you may say, okay, we have our architect there for that. But maybe you don't have architect there. You just have your engineers. Then you need to come to them and say, okay, what do you have? And then suddenly technical tasks appear. And the technical task, you cannot check for requirements, you cannot really test them, and you cannot actually demo them most of the time until you actually do some real good work. And according to Lean software development, they doesn't have any business value at all. And that's why they are waste. You need to convince your customer, have a really transparent communication with them. And then the last but not least is the technical debt. Technical debt is, again, totally out of the control of architects, out of the control of most of the team, because if you're with the legacy, you just simply come to this component and you're like, God, if I knew it, I wouldn't accept like this small task for 1 hour because I simply will have a jar hell because I need to update library to have this feature done. And then if everything is broken now, and suddenly too many technical things there. That's why I believe this is engineer-driven thing. They should be there and say what scope of the project, what scope of your story product backlog item should be to achieve your goal according to specification. And we, as a team, business analyst, architect, and engineer should work together to create product backlog item. There's some different approaches how you can do this. We already knew it, and they are quite good. Maybe not good enough, but most of the people are really good with that, and they have solved this thing. Most. At least they believe this is enough. The first is refinements. Of course, people get together, discuss things, address risks, fine. This is really good approach. This is really good ceremony. Previously, it was named grooming, but nowadays the word is forbidden because of lots of different things happened. Still, I mean the ceremony where people get together and discuss story, not estimating it, not planning it, but not refining the backlog, but about the product backlog item. Spikes, of course. We all like spikes, especially developers, because this is the time when you say, okay, I do really important things, but no results. No, it will be. I do really important thing. Team lead, this person gets and reads specifications, say, okay, I understand how to do it. And we'll solve this problem until a team lead comes to vacation. And code review-driven development, it's not a joke. People often, some teams understand the requirements in the end. And not so funny, but I also faced that is a tester-driven development, where we identify requirements only when QA write bugs. Unfortunately, these are two not the best thing, but they work. What we can do instead? At least what I propose. You may find that the approach is not so concrete, but there is several things. It differs from what we already have. There's the place where I would like to put it. Of course, there is a product owner who has his own activity, trying to identify problem, speak with the stakeholders. Then business analysts work with product owner, try to form it in something, right? It's also really important work. And of course, maybe there is architect who prepared some architecture decision records from the technical perspective, trying to like have diagrams, whatever. They work in parallel, maybe they can communicate with each other, but mostly they talk with product owner, with some people, and then put down these things alone. Then there is a team who gonna work on these tasks one day when this space between these activities will be filled with something. And as I said, there should be everyone involved in the process to build a proper backlog, product backlog item that suddenly meets definition of ready. So that's why the title of the session is Tech Design, this one, that produces something that matches definition of ready, mystery solved. The thing is, they are working on different things, so it's arc design, analysis, tech design, yeah, real work for people. They do the most significant part. One interesting thing is that the business analyst now free from doing perfect requirements. Why? Because like if you do perfect requirements today, it won't be perfect tomorrow. Still, we need to make them meet them some quality, like an ambiguity, testable, modifiable, etc., complex, complete, whatever. But the thing is, it should be enough for us to start. If you don't know how the button works on the screen, but you can proceed it without it, so you will modify specification the next day when you have enough time and you will have contact with the product owner, stakeholder can give you this information, but you need to start doing it as fast as possible. So you have a draft and enough specification, and of course there should be maybe architect who has enough requirements, enough decisions and wireframes, maybe draft. Then you start this transferring task. Of course, you decide when you are ready with that, because if you want to continue working on that, this is not right place to transfer something, this is your choice. But tech designers should start taking it once you're ready. And for that input, as I said, there is specifications and wireframes, some ADRs. Maybe there is things that already developed, so you consider that this is adaptation. This specification and architecture records doesn't take everything that was done. Then the technical debt, of course, in the task tracker, there I will reference to the first meetup I made there. Is about technical debt management and how you can work with that. We'll touch it a bit later here. And then upcoming features as well, because if you want to work with the technical debt, it will affect your future development. Maybe you need to deal with it right now, or maybe you need to take some other tasks as a technical enabler inside your product backlog item right now to speed up further development. The actions. So this one is like to remember the exact steps to do. Is first of all, business analyst organize this session, kickoff session for tech designers. It's optional. You may simply say like, "Hi guys, there is a description here. You can read it and mockups. Please nominate some technical designers to start working with them." Tech designers, they are multiple, mostly because different people from different like front end, back end, maybe mobile, BI, I don't know, DevOps, if you want to include them there. We'll review this item and say, okay, we are working on them. Not everyone. Then they clarify open questions because they will be responsible for taking this to implementation. And maybe they may even log these open questions into product backlog item. It will sometimes help to trace why, let's say, it took so much time to discuss, or it will answer questions to like other people who will read it, like, I don't know why we're doing this. Because of that, this is the answer, like frequent asked questions. Yep. For sure, they need to check the code base and understand how it fits what we have right now and potential technical debt. Then they assist refinement session. If you have a huge team, they may answer some questions that team will have, because business analysts not always have all answers, or architects have all answers. And if there is a technical debt found, this task may be linked to the story to say why we need to do this. And the technical debt task exists not just for reason, but we want to check them to make it more transparent how you work on them. And of course, if there is some decision made, because people who work with requirements tend to make decisions before they approach things, even if, especially if there is some spikes done. These spikes may, I want to check this library, how it works, so I want to do this or that. And this person already spent his time and made this decision. If you haven't put them somewhere, then this time is lost. So the result. Result is adjusted product backlog item in wireframes to fit final requirements. Questions, of course. Some details, if there are found, you may place there. Some decisions made in ADR and technical debt linked, and maybe some newly found technical debt, of course. And why we need to do this, what goal we need to achieve, and check if we're achieving that, is the next one. Is, of course, is consistency. We want to have a consistent solution. The next is clarity, because this is the main thing why we're doing refinement, spikes, other stuff. Predictability, for sure, the same thing is always somebody asks us if we are ready to predict, to estimate our task. Onboarding efficiency, some kind of controversial thing. If you're working in a product company, this is crucial for you. Otherwise, if you're working in really quick startup, maybe it's not crucial for you to have onboarding materials. But still, then the cost of rotation will be really high. Reliability, yeah, not to find something that like you suddenly need to do. Prioritization, it's not kind of obvious, but once you have analyzed your task, you may, during technical design, think how you can make the task run by several people, or simplify it this way. So if it won't be the only person who can work on this task. So this is purely, the last one is purely engineering thing. And this is transformation that happen actually with things. First of all, it's problem. They may split into specification. They may be 2, 1, 3, whatever. And then they may split on different product backlog items. One to another, maybe it will be postponed, deprioritized, whatsoever. And then they exist in different places. While the problem itself exists in a global roadmap you need to achieve, and it's a kind of the project backlog of problems you want to solve or address. And this is a knowledge base. People tend to forget about knowledge base. They think that the only thing they need is backlog. That's why knowledge disappears nowadays. They are transferred to user stories, and people think that user stories is enough. It's not, but user stories is not a knowledge base. The main reason here, because knowledge is about final solution, but product backlog item is one step. Then they start thinking about, okay, you need to make the product backlog item as the final step. And that's fine, your problem solved. And the only one who in trouble right now is engineers. Because they need to do it from the scratch till the end, and everything should work properly. It doesn't work this way. That's the fundamental thing about why it doesn't work with other approaches, is that definition of ready is about knowledge. We are referencing from the product backlog item. There should be enough knowledge. But knowledge is not a task we need to achieve. That's the thing. Because knowledge is knowledge, it has its own form. It has to be structured the other way. Like it connects to like items on the screen. Like I in table have, if I have, let's say, the e-commerce or learning management system, I have, let's say, okay, example for learning management system. I have courses, right? I have courses, and these courses, of course, they should have the rating system, right? And when I have rating system, what with the stars, in the end, when I got this content and I learn everything, and then I gave this review. But when you start doing things, first thing you need to see this catalog, then you come to the item, enroll, pass it, get your feedback, done. How you will demo it? So we'll implement it this way: catalog, enrollment, passing course, review, or no. You only at this stage you will have stars and the data for them. But the knowledge already in the screen with the stars, with the reviews and everything else. And if you will do it this way as it described, in the final vision, how it should be, there won't be such task. You won't have enough data. Or it won't be clickable, etc. Or you will do things that has no value to the customer. So this is journey, and it will change every day. You learn. So SDLC, how it works. So we started with analysis and development, and like the opposite thing, and there was a refinement, and it is refinement nowadays how we work with that. So once analysis is done, we work as a team on the task, and we approach development when here is definition of ready is met. The only difference here, we just need to have something here in addition to refinement. That's and still, if we have this refinement, what's the difference between them? Maybe we need to check. So how it differs from refinements and spikes. But first of all, we need to check what is the same. They reduce uncertainty, all of them. This is clear. We are not talking about this. And informed decision making. Yes, again, all of them have this feature. Improving estimates. Of course, they improve estimates. Supporting product backlog, for sure. We invent and see more things while we're doing this, while we practice refinement, spikes, and technical design. And of course, encourage collaboration. This is key part in Agile, to have collaboration. And then come difference. Technical design and refinement, they are different because technical design is limited participation. Not all people involved. It saves your time because you won't have this like 15 people talking about something, wasting time mostly discussing questions that can be answered by 2 people communicating, not everyone. While there's everyone participate, it's mostly offline, while refinement online. I mean, if you get live online, it's still online. More personal and the brainstorm. This is different thing. Because we tend to solve complex things or complicated when we spend time on solving things. And if you separate them, then you will see that refinement is much better in addressing risks that are not obvious, which can be solved by lots of people involved. The only way to find such risk is to take more people getting together. You cannot sometimes see everything by yourself. And of course, refinement is about knowledge sharing. That's generally what it does. Everyone should be on the same page. While technical design, as I said, elaborate your draft knowledge to the better state. You cannot elaborate knowledge to better state during refinement because you are limited in time. If you are not limited in time, you saw what happened on refinements. It tends to take hours if you elaborate knowledge on refinement. And spikes. The difference is like spike mostly after refinement. We realize that we need spike for that. We do spikes inside technical design before refinement to answer question to whole team how it will be done. SMART goal is more than just simple clarification. And it helps to meet definition of ready. While people who have spikes and struggling with definition of ready, they make spikes after is ready, just to help you estimate. Extra things. So now it's like we're done with the approach. Extra. Who can be accountable for technical design? There may be different options for you. Of course, it can be a tech designer, but still, if you have different resources like front-end, back-end, mobile, maybe it's sometimes hard to choose the person who is accountable, who drives it to the end. It could be a team lead, but if you have only one team lead, this person may be a bottleneck. The same comes to project manager, but this person even less understands the technical questions. Business analyst, of course, this person is good in this, but they dealing with lots of many different approaches, and they are actually not interested in transferring knowledge to the team. This is like this is their end. They need to complete, and they need assistance to complete this task, but not drive this help assistance to them. At least how I feel it. Software architect is much more away from team most of the time. I know they are not reachable for most of the team. That's why they may play this role, but not every time. And the feature lead is actually the small team lead. I talked about team lead at the last session on Teamless Agile. This person is the small team lead for that particular product backlog item. This person who nominated by the team or like want to lead this particular product backlog item. And once this person appears, he own accountable for this feature, for this product backlog item from the start, from the tech design till the end when it's deployed. The technical debt management, right? So how does it work? So how it overlaps with that practice? First of all, technical design have time for groundwork for you to work, to like come to your code and work with that. And that's where you can find technical debts already in place and link them to product backlog item that because they will affect it. And maybe you will find if you actually need to fix this technical debt, or you simply continue working with that because it won't affect too much, because maybe the benefit is not so big as the cost to fix it. Then, yep, there's 3 points about technical debt. And for the effort estimation, that's one tricky part. People tend to estimate tasks with spikes because they started after definition of ready, and the people, okay, we don't know about this thing, maybe we need to research it, right? So they put this estimation of spike into task implementation and combine things together. I would suggest not to put this into estimation for technical design. It's more like a bug fixes, and you need to allocate specific amount of time in your team to work on technical design. If you work on that more, that's why maybe you have really big legacy, or you have unknown stack, or other parts where you need to investigate why it happened, and will affect everything in your project. Not like it has to be like put there and not like if you have spikes, so you won't even complete the story in one sprint because you need to work on spike and then on story itself. So you may need to adjust the final goal where you will be, and maybe play with the resources on something else. So it is much bigger than the just one thing to work on. So you have to address it with bigger coefficients that affect whole scope of the project. If you won't do this way, it is high risks that you will need to convince the customer to work on spikes every sprint, every iteration. Once you show that your team spending on tech design much more than you expected, then you will solve it much easier to saying, okay, this is amount of time we're spending on tech design. That's it. If we see that we spend less, we will reduce this. And this is more transparent lever for product owner to work with. Then the technical design is not mandatory part. For really simple product backlog items, most of the time you can say like, I don't need it. And we proceed. And the one interesting thing, how you can establish in your project technical design, not just after saying, okay, there is funny guy talking about an approach that I like, let's just do it from the scratch. Why you're not doing this? You're so, and then bad words coming after that. So to simplify it, you won't be able to do it from like using 1 month. Maybe it will take 2 months if you're good in organizational change management. But yeah, you may try. First of all, you maybe need to split planning and refinement. Yeah, I know that Scrum guy telling you that planning should be part of the refinement session, right? But refinement or grooming is about knowledge sharing, and planning is about estimation and trying to squeeze estimated task according to the priorities into the next iteration. This is purely mathematical thing with mystical ceremony as a confident world, when people try to connect the space and say if they're ready to commit to that or not. We are using the confidence vault in Scrum just if we are using story points, which are not the best way to estimate, especially if you have backend, front end, mobile, other thing working on the same thing, and suddenly you combine cabbages with meat, and you have something special after it. It's not okay. Anyway, so this is mathematical purely. This is about knowledge sharing. This is what you may start doing. The second one is before you do a refinement session, ask kindly, and then you will struggle a lot because people are lazy to read specification and product backlog item before refinement. People don't want to read. They want to, I will come, eat chips, and simply listen what product owner or business analyst saying, and they won't listen again, and then ask question on code review. Then say them, you may now do some groundwork, because like, hey, you faced this technical debt while implementation. Why you cannot simply do it before, like check the code, before you come to refinement? If there is some, and you will share, okay, guys, I know this is so bad place. Everybody knew last year that this is a legacy, blah, blah, blah. So this is really good point to take to refinement session. Then you may write down open questions to product backlog item. Even if you simply write the questions, it also helps to people understand, okay, I'm responsible for something, to make it clear, not just business analyst feed me with knowledge. Then maybe you allow them, since they are doing some groundwork, maybe they can check some libraries as it spikes, how it works, before they actually come to refinement and say, okay, it's easy. I know a guy who knows this library. I know a guy who works with this library, and everything will be fine until they found that the guy actually knew something else. So then maybe some decision may come before refinement, right? So maybe they can be also written somewhere. After all, when they did it, so they are already so high in discipline, yeah? Once they are calm down and say, okay, we're fine, you may ask them, okay, maybe you may start talking with business analysts. I know it's not natural for developers to start conversation with people, but you may try. Maybe they will answer to you. Then once you did something, maybe you can now document it properly and help architect to make the architecture diagrams much better with some technical decisions. I know as an architect that now my team helped me with documentation much more than I do this, because they do like really low level decisions much better than me. I cannot be expert in any technology. They may, in some of them, in narrow. And then maybe try to strive to SMART goals is a specific, measurable, actual time frame are, I forgot. Anyway, so to me this quality of goal to achieve. So the product backlog item is the best thing that you can produce. Now it's perfect. It can be. It's a good here again. As I said, you may stop somewhere in this line, but here is perfect enough. Then you don't need design. As I said, I love people who invented Agile. If you are a team of software developers only, who are really high skilled, and you believe that everybody, like a junior that come to your team, is also the same people, and you follow in Kanban, and nothing else happen. You may simply skip technical design, because you always come together and say, okay, extreme programming is as the golden hammer for everything. We simply do it in parallel programming and we'll solve everything. Done. Of course, they should be not just backend front end, but it will be much better if they are full stack developers. If not, maybe you may need to come together and do technical design before you start doing something. It's much better to agree on something beforehand. Yeah, it makes the technical design looking as the golden hammer for every project. Yes, I know. That's fine. You may disagree with that, that you need it. And the solution for cases. The first case is for your team. Like, this is a generic approach. When I even suggest QA come to the technical design, they may do the thing as requirements testing. When they read test requirements and check if they're good enough from QA perspective. They may also start thinking about test cases at this moment of time. So they may approach their refinement and be ready for estimation much better. Right. For backend engineers, it also may be good to for backend engineers to do some work here, because somebody come with a problem or task to do, right? Most of the time here is an architect or somebody else who just given the task, like do this. Somebody should make it from this third feed of knowledge, the doable task. The same goes to backend. Now it's much worse to organize these people. Somebody should take the task and from we'll do this thing, period. Or we do another thing. And once you fix it, you can say you achieve it, you achieve it, you achieve it. You can demonstrate to someone else, to the product owner. And if it's much bigger, then it becomes more important to have not a team lead like here, but feature lead. And the feature lead will form the team who works on the part of your backlog, your knowledge. And later, if you're self-organized people, you may rotate inside. Once you rotate, some part of the team continue working on another scope of work. So they switch. That's where you really require knowledge base. The project with huge legacy. Yep, sure. Huge legacy means technical debt. You need to know it beforehand. When there's high-speed development, oh yeah, the only thing that will increase transparency for your project and make it more reliable for the release chain in scalable agile framework, etc., is to make these stages: analysis, tech design, development, manual testing, done. And you put them as fast as possible, and you focus team on exact tasks to do. If it's bottlenecked start of the project, when you haven't established processes, but you really need to deliver something. Once you have sometimes doing about processes, you must start migrating up. That goes into migration plan I mentioned. It will help you just stop producing bugs, stop producing tails and requirements, like the remnants, things that are not done, but everyone forgot about that. You think that your story is done, but it is not done because you haven't checked every cases, every requirements, etc. The healthcare project, for us, it was the only approach. For us, the only approach to verify that the user story is done as we expected is to put down strict requirements before development start. So that's where technical design is essential. I establish even more strict approach, call it demo-driven development there. But if you want to, I will prepare this session for the next presentation. And waterfall rigid customers, for them, sometimes this technical design, that's the only thing they understand. When requirements are ready, you pass it to the team, then you come to development. If they are so rigid about requirements, then you say, okay, now it is accepted by team, and you see now, you don't like Agile, so here is clear requirements that will team take, and it will implement it as it's written. And everybody now agrees it will be this way. And after 2-3 sprints, you will gain trust because they will see what you will do. And the situation, of course, the only person, no, now it's not the only person. If you have the tech designer who rotates, then these people will make some decisions. Done otherwise, no, now you can see it's beforehand because you actually think about technical implementation before you come to refinement, and only after that you share. With specs, actually, there's a really high chance that you won't share this knowledge with anyone. Update the library, of course, this is about technical debt. You check it, you have done your groundwork. Myself, yeah, this is about knowledge sharing. If you have this written somewhere, the next time you approach this task, there may be another person can do this because everything is written. Every decision is documented. Hopefully, not always, but yeah, now you have a chance to achieve it. the same thing is there will be more chance that other people will understand what's going on. Not compatible? No, it's compatible because you do groundwork and check how the code works. The same thing about 5 API designs. No, you won't have it. Right, so Mike is in vacation and you can simply go and read the manual first. And there's so much thing exists what I can tell you about, and this is the only one, but there are other parts. You may find this thing already on our channel, and even more things is coming. Just be with us, stay tuned. And thank you. Here is QR code for you to scan. If you want to come to our place and see more things, please scan it. And if you are done with that, so we are good with cheat sheet in the end. Great. Questions? Do you have any?
It's that only after refinement there are usually some, when we have the actual risk from the entire team, that this is a good place to either redo this tech design phase or redo it at least in some capacity. Because if the, let's say, not enough people is included in the tech design, then we may don't know about a lot of tech debt or a lot of blockers.
Right. So if I got you correctly, there's two things. Maybe just correct me if I got it wrong. First is maybe the people who making this technical design doesn't know everything. True. They may miss something. Then you will see it on refinement session. Without it, it will be the same. With technical design, there is much less chance that refinement will end up with, okay, we need to redo it. Please return it 2 days later. Because most of the questions already answered before that. That's actually what helps you to work and speed up.
Yeah, I think it's like speed up refinement, but I don't know. I feel like there are a lot of issues that should be resolved at this tech design session might be mentioned under refinement. So yeah, probably you're right that in most cases it would speed it up, but yeah, I just feel like either it should be something technical. So after the refinement, if there are some questions after refinement, you can go back to this.
Right. Sure. It's not like you accept it and there is no way to reject it. Yeah. If I got correctly, the thing I tell in most of the teams where, for some reason, I'm sorry for saying this. Sometimes business analyst abuses team. They simply drop something to the team and just do it. I won't do anything else. I saw it so many times, and people say, "Okay," and they don't respect themselves. They don't respect. They accept that they're feeding with the bad written stories with no requirements, right? So in technical design, this is the first gate when you say, okay, I have no all answers. Now, as a technical designer, I have this right to reject it from the first state. It's much easier for me for one person to reject it. When I sit in the team, not everyone just psychologically agrees to rebel against it, right?
Yeah, I understand the mechanism that
Yep.
Personally about the decision about it and question if anyone is agreeing.
Yeah, then most of the time people tend to agree rather than disagree if they're in the team. If you're one, you can say, okay, I don't like it. I saw it so many times. Before technical design, they accept it. After 1-2 iteration, they start saying, okay, I don't like it. Why you don't have this all the things described? Like, I don't see these buttons here. Where is all names for messages I need to show for errors? Where they are? I was so often asked by product owner why it is not translated to Arabic there. What's going on? Because it was not there when we refined it. After that, everyone simply forget about it. We are done. So now you can decide yourself what is good story for team to show, and as engineer, you saying it on behalf of the team you're representing, like backend, frontend, mobile. It doesn't negate the necessity of having refinement, as I said. Solving risks can be done only with all people involved. It's much less chance that you will simply forget about something. Because sometimes even in the case like it even works the way like one person don't know about this risk, another person don't know about this risk, but when they start talking, they realize something may happen. That's why you need to get people together. That's the main reason why you need to have refinement. Another one is, of course, sharing knowledge. And according to information technology, replication of data is costly. Yep. If you have index in database, you don't want to put this index every time on every machine, right? You just put it to where it will be. And that's why you wouldn't like to have your knowledge elaboration inside refinement. It will be solved with the really strict requirements of definition of ready to BA, which cannot be achieved by BA solely. That's why should someone help BA to achieve this goal, to make it doable work. And I know they appreciate this help. Anything else? Okay, I think this is it then. Do we have questions here? No, thank you. Thank you, chat. Then we are done.
There will be pizza right now and some networking, so if you wish, you can stay and have a chat.
Great.
Я решила запомнить в середине. У меня случился передоз